RP X, RP Peep, RP Mac. You ain't having no relax. This shit got me tearing up.
What's good, y'all? I'm Jerry. About to check out 10 times WWE foolishly buried their own champions. One moment in particular I still hate to this day was 2019 October 4th, I believe, when SmackDown first went live on Fox, and they had Kofi lose to Brock Lesnar in 4 seconds. It was either 4 seconds or 6 seconds, and they built Kofi up for months being the strong champion. He beat everybody, including, like, I think Randy Orton and Kevin Owens and everybody else, only for him to lose on the episode of SmackDown in 4 seconds, bruh. And they just recently did the same thing to Bianca Belair after having Bianca beat just about everybody, from Sasha Banks at WrestleMania, really from starting all the way up until the Royal Rumble, including Sasha Banks, Bayley, everybody she beat in the women's, sort of in the women's division. And on SmackDown, only for her to lose, I think, in what, 26 seconds or 46 seconds. I can't remember how long what the match was, how short the match was. But man, when that Kofi match happened, when Brock Lesnar came back in 2019, man, I got so mad at that match. I hated how they did that. So I'm about to hop into this video, man.
When a WWE superstar wins a championship, they should be presented strongly, so their title run maintains legitimacy and worth. However, WWE sometimes decides to outright bury their own champions. The champion in question can fall out with favor with WWE management, or sometimes the superstar is only made champion out of fan pressure and intense popularity.
Yeah.
So in turn, WWE could do everything they can to weaken the popularity of the superstar, damaging their credibility and star power as a result. But which champions were they? Well, join us now as WrestleMania looks at 10 times WWE buried their own champions. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Jack Swagger. Now, Jack Swagger's world title run in 2010 actually started off pretty well. He would achieve victories over Chris.
He kind of killed his own push because he got arrested.
This was before Vince McMahon outright gave up on the reigning world champion. Swagger would suddenly begin to lose every match on television. He would lose to the likes of
try to give him another chance.
John Morrison and Kofi Kingston, and all of this killed his credibility as a legitimate world champion. By the time the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view came around in June of 2010, all hope was lost for Swagger, as fans didn't take him seriously anymore. He would drop the world title to Rey Mysterio in a Fatal 4-Way match, which also included CM Punk and The Big Show. It was never made clear why Vince decided to bury Swagger, but some fans believe that Swagger never regained the credibility following his disastrous world title run. Number 9. Kofi Kingston.
I remember he cashed in. I remember that.
Booked Kofi Kingston to defend the WWE title against Brock Lesnar on SmackDown's 20th anniversary episode. Fans assumed that Lesnar was going to end Kofi's enjoyable title reign. However, they didn't expect Lesnar to completely squash Kofi in just 7 seconds. Fans expected a back-and-forth competitive match with Kofi almost conquering Lesnar, but WWE had other ideas. The squash completely killed Kofi's credibility, and it made fans question the legitimacy of his title reign.
They never gave Kofi another chance after that. He never even had a rematch.
After Lesnar's victory, meaning Kofi became an immediate afterthought. WWE's presentation of Kofi following the controversial loss was heavily criticized, as Kofi never got a rematch against Lesnar, nor did he seem remotely bothered that his lengthy title reign had ended in just a matter of seconds. Number 8. CM Punk. The 69-day world title run of CM Punk in 2008.
I remember that. I remember watching the episode when he cashed in on Edge.
For this is that it was so unmemorable. Punk's world title run came at a time when John Cena and Batista were still on Raw, and they were both a lot more over than Punk. This meant that Punk's world title run was never a main focus of WWE programming, and he was virtually buried as a world champion. Punk would last a total of 3 pay-per-view events as world champion, the first being Great American Bash, where he and Batista would wrestle to a double DQ. The second win was over JBL at SummerSlam in 10 minutes, and the final and most infamous pay-per-view appearance as world champion saw Punk get punted in the skull by Randy Orton at Unforgiven, and he'd be taken out of his planned world title scramble match. The run was a complete flop, and WWE never made any genuine effort to make Punk appear as a legitimate world champion. Number 7. Jeff Hardy. Our fans were delighted when the beloved Jeff Hardy finally captured the world title at 2008's Armageddon pay-per-view. Hardy was insanely over with fans, and fans anticipated that he would head into WrestleMania 25 as WWE Champion. However, his title reign just lasted 42 days. Hardy's reign, instead of being filled with exciting title defenses, were filled with a bizarre storyline which saw Hardy get involved in a range of accidents, which ranged from him being driven off the road to his pyro malfunctioning. Hardy would drop the title in his first defense. He lost to Edge at 2009's Royal Rumble pay-per-view after his brother Matt turned on him. It was clear to the fans that WWE had zero plans to make Hardy a credible WWE champion at this stage of his career, and this explains why they decided to bury his title run as quickly as humanly possible. Number 6, Dolph Ziggler. One of the most memorable Raw after WrestleMania moments occurred in 2013, when Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to win the world title. Well, the issue here was that Vince and WWE never really saw Ziggler as a main event level talent, and his world title run showed this. The week following Ziggler's world title victory, he would lose a non-title match to Jack Swagger on Raw. This was evidence that his world title run was going to be filled with non-title losses, and Ziggler would have to fight for any means of credibility. A few weeks into his title run, Ziggler suffered a serious concussion which put him on the shelf for a month. When Ziggler returned, WWE decided to immediately take the world title off him. Ziggler would drop the world title to Alberto Del Rio at the Payback pay-per-view, and unfortunately, he would never receive another run at the very top of the WWE ladder. Number 5, Cesaro. Cesaro's 2012 US title run was a huge letdown. What should have involved Cesaro bringing major credibility to the US title instead featured him seemingly losing every non-title match on television. Cesaro would be US champion for 8 months, and he was mainly used to put over other talent. He would lose to top WWE talent such as Randy Orton, Sheamus, and John Cena. These may have been forgivable if Cesaro obtained other victories, but this wasn't the case. He would lose to every talent possible. He would lose to the likes of Santino Marella and Justin Gabriel, all of who seriously buried his run as US champion.
Number
4, Karrion Kross. In the summer of 2021, it was announced that
Karrion Kross was making
his main roster debut. Kross was the reigning NXT champion, and fans expected him to become a major star on the main roster. Kross debuted on the July 19th edition of Raw, and rather shockingly, he lost to Jeff Hardy in just under 2 minutes. This completely killed Kross's legitimacy, and it also completely buried the top champion of the popular NXT brand. Kross's presentation would be dramatically changed following the loss, and fan perception of him and his character quickly soured. And of course, that goofy outfit didn't help. In November of 2021, Kross would be released by WWE, which caused a lot of outrage on social media for how WWE completely failed a talented superstar. Number 3, Christian. When Edge retired in 2011, WWE urgently needed a top babyface for the SmackDown brand. The plan was to crown Christian as the world champion at Extreme Rules, which would
buried Christian on SmackDown
on the brand.
In his first match, first title defense.
World champion Christian would be challenged by newly drafted superstar Randy Orton.
That was a good match, though. I like that feud. That feud was underrated.
And WWE actually decided to have Christian lose.
I hate how they had him lose that match.
The world title just a few days after winning it. Now, it's common knowledge that Vince McMahon wasn't a huge fan of Christian, but nevertheless, to bury him completely in this manner was too much for a lot of fans to handle. Number 2, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho shocked the world at the 2001 Vengeance pay-per-view when he became the first ever undisputed champion. Sadly for Jericho, the run that followed was presented rather poorly, and Jericho was never taken seriously as undisputed champion. Jericho had storylines with The Rock and Stone Cold during this time, and whilst he attained victories over the two legends on pay-per-view, they were presented as flukes and never made Jericho seem like a serious world champion.
He lost that,
Jericho was also paired with Stephanie
WrestleMania
McMahon
18
during this time and would be presented as Stephanie's personal lackey, and Jericho would even begin to dog-sit Stephanie's dog. Jericho eventually dropped the undisputed title to Triple H at WrestleMania 18.
Never got a rematch.
Another world title run until 2008. And
I think he did get a rematch, but he never became the same.
22 featured one of the most feel-good moments in WWE
Never been world
history.
champion again
Ray would
until
defeat
2008.
Randy Orton and Kurt Angle to win the world title for the first time in his career. Popularity aside, Vince McMahon wasn't keen on making Mysterio world champion, and as a result, he outright buried Ray as world champion. Ray would lose a ton of matches on TV to the likes of RVD, Mark Henry, and the Great Khali, and they wouldn't even let Ray get victories over lower card talent such as Sabu, and as WWE decided to book their match at 2006 One Night Stand pay-per-view to end in a draw. They eventually decided to end Ray's run in the summer of 2006, when he lost the title to King Booker at the Great American Bash pay-per-view. Ray's run was a complete flop, and WWE never made any effort at all to make Ray's world title run memorable for the right reasons. But there you have it, folks. 10 times WWE buried their own champions. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
Alright, y'all, another great video, man. Man, I did not know that they buried people because of certain stuff. Like, buried their own champ. I hated how they buried Kofi. I didn't know they buried Jack Swagger because of all that. I completely forgot all about Jack Swagger. Rey Mysterio. I thought they was gonna mention Rey's 2011 burial when he won the title, he won the title at the beginning of Raw, only to lose it in the main event of Raw that same night. So, man, CM Punk's 2008 championship, they buried him because he didn't even defend the title. But anyway, man, thank y'all for watching me. Let me know what y'all thought of the video, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.